Levi, Sydney, Cord, and James. So the way that this game works is we're going to get an idea for a story from you guys, and then these four are going to tell you a once upon a time style story while taking turns telling each of their parts. And at any given time, I'm the caller. I can call on one of these guys. We got James, Cord, Sydney, and Levi. They'll come forward and pick up where the last person who was telling the story left off. But if they repeat more than 3 words that the last person just said, they die. Or if they get tricked, like if I say the wrong name and they step forward, anything like that, they die, and then we continue on without them until the last person standing kind of wraps up the story with, and then they live happily ever after. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get a suggestion. Can I get an adjective, please?
Slimy.
Goodness.
I heard shiny. Can I get a noun?
Toaster. Bees.
Slicer.
Flamingo. Murder.
Shrimp.
Dire.
Shrek. Murder. Ants.
Chair. I heard ants. Going with shiny ants. So this is going to be the story of the shiny ants, and I'm going to sit down here and have James start.
A time once upon. We look down and we see an army of ants. They have new recruits. These new recruits, they're called the Shiny Legion. We look into the Shiny Legion. They have one private in particular, Melbert. Little Melbert, he's got his little army head on. It's like kind of falling off, and he's trying to keep up with the rest of his squad, but they just keep pushing him down. They don't know what's wrong with Melbert, just that he's a little slow.
Cord.
Melbert has a little secret. He hates all other bugs that are not ants. But he figured that a shiny ant legion was the perfect opportunity for him to exude this anger in a productive and meaningful way. So he enlisted for the shiny ant legion, and he got accepted. But on his first day at the shiny ant legion, he realized that he was smaller than all the other recruits. But that didn't stop him from having such a huge heart and such a huge work ethic. Now, Melbert, he really liked his little ant bugs.
Sydney.
However, they didn't like him that much. They were like, I don't know how I feel about Melbert. There's something weird about him. I'm not about it. But Melbert was determined. He was like, no, you'll like me. I know how to make people like me. He was like, I'll bake you a cake. And so he baked them cake and he brought it. And they were like, no, that's still pretty weird. You're still a weirdo. And he was like, oh, well, I know. I'll bake you some brownies. And they're like, no, we're not about brownies. Listen, you had it right with the cake, but we're still not liking you. And he was like, dang it. And he was like, I'll bake you. Those were the only things that Melbert knew how to bake. So he was really out of luck at this point. He was really down on his luck. And he was like, well, I guess I'll just continue on with my sad little training. So he put his heart and soul into his training. Because he was like, if I'm big and strong, maybe then they'll appreciate my ideas.
Levi.
One day, back at the end of the ranks, he fell in with a group of also small ants. And they got to talking, and Melbert decided that these guys were going to be his friends. They decided, these are people that I get along with. And so him and his band of ragtag ants decided to quit the Shiny Legion and enroll in culinary school. Because you only know how to bake 2 things. It really doesn't get you anywhere, or friends. And so what he did is he and his gang, they snuck away in the dead of the night.
And they went to the first store that they could think of to get culinary supplies. Target, obviously. So they go in and they get all the culinary supplies that they would need for culinary school. And they go to pay for them with their little ant money.
James.
And then, boom! Grass. Said Cord. Oh, my fault. And then grasshoppers showed up. Something inside the belly of Melbert rose up, and he remembered his hatred for other bugs.
Levi.
Boom, boom, Melbert exploded. He turned into a grasshopper. Nobody knew that his secret was when he gets angry, he turns into a separate class of insects.
He thumped and hopped all the way over to the other grasshopper and he screamed, went, ah! and they were like, okay, buddy, yeah, we'll go get your culinary things. And he was like, sounds good, guys.
So they went and they got more culinary things after they already paid for the first culinary things because they needed more. So Melbert, being his happy
Sydney.
Self, he ran around. He was like, haha, this is my dream. I love culinary school. And the other ants were like, yeah, haha, we love too. And then suddenly, Melbert.
And then boom! Suddenly Melbert just wanted to feel included with everybody.
Well, Levi.
However, he'd only partially reverted back to an ant and were giving him some weird looks when he got back to the room.
Levi.
All of the stuff was on the table, and Melbert looked at it and says, guys, I don't know what I'm trying to relate.
It is, but I'm going to figure it out in this next class and all the other classmates
James.
will later.
They started cooking things in the next class. Oh, we went forward into the time into the next class, right? So they started cooking things in
James.
this class, and when they cooked things, they didn't know what to cook.
Cord.
So Melbert,
James.
What did we cook? And Melbert, with his grasshopper behind,
James.
was like, I will cook.
Cord.
bread.
Uncle cook bread. Hey, guys. He only said bread. Fine.
Die.
How do I die? Can't wait to eat this good loaf of bread. I'm allergic to no! 6.
The pan was on the table, and Melbert didn't have any oven mitts. Darn,
Sydney.
he forgot the oven mitts at Target, but he couldn't go back. They had it strictly.
No half grasshopper rule at Target. Alright? So he got angry
Hunter.
that he couldn't go back to Target. So
Sydney.
the first half that was still an ant
Cord.
popped up to be a beetle.
And then, boom! the shiny ant legion came out of nowhere and was like, we planned this! And Delbert was like, you guys.
Levi.
I just wanted to be included.
Cord.
So he reverted
Sydney.
right back to being an ant. But the shiny legion were like, oh, you're
James.
Back to normal. Dude, welcome. What's up, man? And
Sydney.
Delbert was like, guys, this is all I wanted to be for the whole time. You guys didn't make me feel included in the shiny legion.
But the shiny legion were like, that was our plan.
Levi.
I knew you were here the entire time. We let you
Cord.
desert the army.
So they went back to the army base.
We just wanted to see what animal you turned into if you got mad.
And then he got extra mad because he was getting used.
James.
He was getting you.
Oh. How do you do?
Man.
Getting used.
I hope somebody has to blow their nose soon.
Well,
Levi.
A hole in the ground appeared. He looked down into the well,
Hunter.
and he saw his friends. The Silver Legion had thrown his friends in the well. This
Sydney.
made him so angry that he turned back into an ant.
for a second, and then he got so angry that his powers weren't working that he popped up into a house cat.
Levi.
That house cat had claws. This house cat was a giant cat. Smack by smack, he's taken out the Silver Legion. There's just
So much
Levi.
death.
blood everywhere. Oh my gosh, he can't see anything.
Cord.
But since he's a cat,
He loved water.
he seeked out the first sinking
Sydney.
find, which was good.
Levi.
Had oven mitts finally. Silver Legion had brought. He picked up the bread.
And he ate it.
Levi.
This didn't quench his thirst, however.
Levi.
Still in proximity to the well, and
Cord.
somebody
Jumped in the well and was like, hey, there's water down here. And Melbert decided, hey, that's water's a good
Levi!
thing to drink.
No, he drank all the water and something funny happened. His powers had disappeared completely. Delbert didn't know what to
Josh!
do. But he knew that his friends were in the well and the
Levi!
army is almost completely
Cord!
destroyed.
So he went back to being his little
Levi!
On.
Here, get out. Thank you.
Hans. Fell in water.
A cat.
Oh, well.
Fell in a well. What's that, Lassie? Get in the well? That's a weird thing to say.
He went back to being the little ant recruit in the Shining Legion that he was at the beginning of the story. But he had made friends along the way that liked to join him. So he convinced the rest of the Silver Legion to take the friends out of the well, and they went happily ever after into their ant lives.